You joined Border Patrol because you believed in the line, not the political line, the actual line. The one drawn in the sand outside Nogales where the Sonoran Desert meets a wall that stops at the mountains and picks up again 3 miles later. You believed that if you stood on that line long enough, you were holding something together. 14 years in, GS-12, $78,000 a year before overtime. Your ex-wife got the house in Tucson. You rent a 1-bedroom in Sierra Vista for $1,400 a month. Your daughter is 9 and thinks you catch bad guys for a living. You let her believe that. The sector is Tucson, 362 miles of border, busiest corridor in the country. You work the Sasabe corridor, which means you spend most of your shifts driving a Ram 1500 through terrain that eats tires and transmissions. You find groups in the desert, 15, 20 people at a time, dehydrated, sunburned, sometimes worse. You process them, file the I-213, drive them to the station, do it again tomorrow. The ones you don't find, the desert processes for you. 47 bodies recovered in your sector last fiscal year. You stopped keeping your own count after the first summer. Your partner is Dominguez, 11 years in, 2 kids, coaches Little League on his days off. He's the one who introduces you to the man at the bar in Tubac. The man doesn't give a name, he gives a number, $8,000 per trip. All you have to do is look the other way at a specific GPS coordinate on a specific night. Not smuggle anyone yourself, not touch anyone, not even be present. Just be somewhere else when your patrol route passes a wash called Coyote Canyon between 2 and 4 a.m. You say no. You say it clearly and without hesitation, and you drive home feeling righteous about it. That feeling lasts 11 days. On day 12, your daughter's school calls because she needs braces and the dental plan covers 40%. The orthodontist quotes $6,200 out of pocket. Your checking account has $3,100. Your credit cards carry $11,000 in balances from the divorce. You don't call the man, you call Dominguez. You ask him how it works. He tells you calmly, the way someone describes a commute. You pick a night. You alter your patrol log by 2 hours. You drive the eastern route instead of the western one. Between 2:15 and 3:40 a.m., a group crosses through Coyote Canyon. You are 19 miles away, parked at a sensor that you know has been broken since October. You write in your log that you checked the sensor. You note no activity. This is technically true. There was no activity where you were. Dominguez texts you a location the next morning, a storage unit in Benson. Inside, in a toolbox under a workbench, there is an envelope. Inside the envelope is $8,000 in 50s and 100s. You count it in the parking lot with your hands shaking. Not from guilt, from the math. That envelope is more than your take-home pay for a month. One night of driving a different road. What you feel is relief. You pay the orthodontist in cash. You pay down 1 credit card. You buy your daughter new cleats for soccer because she mentioned hers were tight. You sleep 8 hours for the first time in months. That is more terrifying than the envelope. The second trip happens 3 weeks later. Same protocol, different night, same canyon, same envelope. This time your hands don't shake. The third trip, you don't even count the money in the parking lot. You wait until you get home. You sit at your kitchen table and stack the bills like you're sorting mail. It has become routine in the way that everything in this job becomes routine. Processing migrants is routine. Finding bodies is routine. Looking the other way is routine. By month 4, you have done it 7 times. $56,000 in cash stored in a gun safe in your closet. You haven't changed your lifestyle visibly. Same truck, same apartment, same shifts. You deposit nothing. You spend cash on things that don't leave trails. Groceries, gas, your daughter's expenses. You tell yourself this is about her. You almost believe it. The man from Tubac calls directly for the first time, not through Dominguez. He has your personal cell number, which means Dominguez gave it to him, which means something has shifted. The man says there's a special crossing, 40 people, families. The fee is $15,000 because the window is narrow and the group is large, but he needs more than absence this time. He needs you to disable a sensor array along a 2-mile stretch. 4 sensors. You know which ones because you service them. Unplug the battery packs, let them go dark for 6 hours, replug them at dawn. Operations will assume it's a maintenance issue. It happens constantly. You should say no. This is the line you told yourself you wouldn't cross. Looking the other way is passive. Disabling federal infrastructure is active. It's tampering with government property. It's a felony that carries specific, calculable years. You think about the $15,000. You think about your daughter's college fund, which doesn't exist. You think about the 14 years you've given this agency and the GS-12 salary that hasn't kept up with inflation since 2019. You think about the 47 bodies in the desert last year and how your presence on patrol didn't stop a single one of them. You think about the fact that these people are crossing regardless. With or without you, they walk through that canyon. The only variable is whether you get paid. You drive out at 1 a.m. and disconnect 4 sensors in 22 minutes. You've done maintenance on these units so many times you could do it blindfolded. Battery pack out, wait for the status light to die, close the housing. The second sensor is near a mesquite tree where you once found a woman's shoe, size 6, pink, no woman attached. You try not to think about that. 41 people crossed that night. You know because it's in the morning briefing. Operations attributes the sensor gap to a battery failure. Nobody investigates, nobody suspects. Your supervisor mentions they need to requisition new battery packs. You volunteer to handle the paperwork. The money is in the toolbox by noon. You count it at the kitchen table. $15,000. You put it in the gun safe with the rest. $71,000 now. More cash than you've ever had at one time in your life. Your hands are steady, your breathing is normal, your appetite is fine. You are not falling apart. You are functioning better than you have in years, and that fact should terrify you more than it does. 5 months later, Dominguez gets transferred to El Centro sector. He doesn't explain why. He just says it's better for his family and doesn't look at you when he says it. 2 weeks after he leaves, you learn that Internal Affairs opened an inquiry into sensor reliability in the Sasabe corridor. Not an investigation, an inquiry. The distinction matters. An inquiry means someone noticed a pattern. An investigation means they suspect a person. You stop the crossings immediately. Tell the man from Tubac you're done. He says he understands. He says take your time. He says he'll be in touch. The way he says it makes your stomach clench, but nothing happens. Weeks pass. The inquiry produces a report recommending better sensor maintenance protocols. Your name appears once as the agent who filed the maintenance request. It looks diligent. It looks clean. 3 months of silence. You start to believe it's over. You've accumulated $94,000 in cash. You begin spending some of it, not extravagantly. A down payment on a better apartment, a used truck to replace the one with 18,000 miles. Furniture for your daughter's room at your place because she's started staying weekends. You tell yourself the risk window has closed. Then the man calls again. He doesn't ask you to look the other way. He asks you to drive. A van. 12 people. From a pickup point 6 miles north of the border to a stash house in 3 points. 45 minutes of driving. $3,000. You are past the point where saying no is simple. The man knows your name, your schedule, your patrol routes, your daughter's school. He has never threatened you explicitly. He doesn't need to. The architecture of leverage doesn't require threats. It requires knowledge. He has enough knowledge to end your career, your freedom, and your custody arrangement with a single phone call to the Office of Inspector General. You drive the van on a Tuesday night in March. 12 people in the back. You can hear them breathing. A child coughs and someone shushes the child in a whisper that sounds like prayer. The drive takes 38 minutes. You don't look in the rearview mirror. You park behind a house with no lights on and someone opens the rear doors and the people disappear into a structure you will never enter. You leave the van and walk 4 blocks to where you parked your truck. You drive home. You shower for 45 minutes. The second van run is 2 weeks later. The third, 10 days after that. By summer, you have driven 11 times. You have moved 131 people. You have earned an additional $29,000 in cash. You have a storage unit in Benson, the same one Dominguez showed you, with $384,000 in vacuum-sealed bags inside a false bottom toolbox. You are not sleeping. Your jaw aches from clenching. You've lost 14 pounds since January. Your supervisor asks if you're okay and you say you're training for a half marathon, which is a lie so specific it sounds true. In August, Homeland Security Investigations pulls cell tower data for every phone that pinged within 5 miles of 3 known stash houses in Pima County over a 6-month period. Your burner is on that list. So is your personal phone, because you forgot to leave it home on the 3rd run. You didn't know they were mapping stash houses. You didn't know your phone was a confession traveling in your pocket. HSI cross-references the phone data with Border Patrol shift schedules. Your name appears on a list of 11 agents whose phones were near locations they shouldn't have been near during hours they were supposed to be elsewhere. 11 names become 6 after alibis check out. 6 becomes 3. 3 becomes 1. They don't arrest you at work. They come to your apartment on a Wednesday morning at 6:15 a.m. 4 agents, suits, credentials held at chest height. They ask you to step outside. They read you your rights on the landing while your neighbor watches through a window. You are handcuffed with your own brand of cuffs. Smith & Wesson Model 100. The irony is not lost on you. Nothing is lost on you anymore except time. The charges take 11 minutes to read at your arraignment. Conspiracy to transport undocumented aliens, aiding and abetting illegal entry, bribery of a public official, tampering with federal property, money laundering. Each count is a door closing. The prosecution has cell tower records, sensor maintenance logs with your signature, financial forensics tracing cash deposits your landlord made after you paid 6 months' rent in hundreds. They have Dominguez, who took a deal in El Centro 3 months ago and gave them everything. Your daughter visits you once before sentencing. She is 10 now. She sits across a table in a room that smells like floor wax and doesn't ask what you did. She asks when you're coming home. You say soon, which is the last lie you tell her, and the one that costs the most. The judge gives you 12 years. Federal. No parole. You are 41 years old. You will be 53 when you walk out, if you serve the full sentence. The man from Tubac is never identified. The organization continues operating. The Sasabe corridor processes an average of 43,000 apprehensions per fiscal year. Your absence changes nothing about the volume. Your presence changed nothing either. The desert doesn't care who patrols it. In the facility, time moves like something geological, slow and crushing and indifferent to your preferences. You work in the laundry. You read legal thrillers that make you angry for reasons you can't articulate. You write letters to your daughter that get shorter each year because there is less and less to say from a place where nothing happens. 7 years in, you receive a letter from her. She is 17. She tells you she's applying to colleges and that she's been working at a veterinary clinic after school. She doesn't mention you. The letter is about her life, and you are not in it. You read it 4 times, and then you put it in a box with the others, and you don't cry because crying requires access to a version of yourself that you sealed in a vacuum bag and stored in a place you can't reach anymore. When they release you, the sunlight is different, not brighter, just different. You stand outside a federal facility in Safford, Arizona, with a bus ticket and $940 in gate money and a restitution order for $384,000 that you will never be able to pay. You are 52. Your knees ache. Your hair is gray at the temples. Your daughter did not come to pick you up. You take the bus to Tucson. The city has changed and hasn't changed. The same mountains, the same heat, the same border, 2 hours south, doing the same thing it has always done, which is exist as a line that people cross because the math on the other side doesn't work. Someone is standing on that line right now, badge on their chest. GS 11, maybe 12, rent is late. Kid needs something. A man at a bar is mentioning a number that sounds like a year's salary for one night of driving a different road. They're thinking about it. They're doing the math. They're telling themselves they'd never. You told yourself that too. 14 years ago in a bar in Tubac, with a drink you don't remember finishing and a conscience you don't remember losing. It didn't leave all at once. It left the way everything leaves, quietly, in pieces, until the morning you reached for it and found nothing there at all.